In 1997, Apple was 90 days from running out of cash. The company had lost over $1 billion the year before. Its market share was in single digits. Its product line had grown to 40 different computer models, most of them slight variations on each other, with names so confusing that Apple's own retail partners couldn't keep them straight. That summer, Steve Jobs came back, and the popular story is that Jobs returned, designed the iMac, and saved Apple. That story's true. It's also missing the move that mattered most, because before there was an iMac, there was a kill list. In Jobs' first year back, Apple killed about 70% of its product line. The comeback was discipline before design. This is the first comeback story on this channel, and the 5th case study in a framework I use to explain every business outcome you'll ever read about. The 4 forces. Quick recap. Every company is shaped by 4 forces: market, the conditions they operate in; money, how they're funded and what that costs them; management, the decisions made at the top; moment, the timing and events they didn't choose. All 4 are always present. Only one is decisive. Let's find Apple's. In 1996, the personal computer market was effectively a Microsoft and Intel market. Windows ran on something like 95% of the world's computers. The Intel platform won the standards war that mattered, and the rest of the industry was sorting out what that meant. Apple's market position in 1996 was about 4% of US PC shipments. The Mac had a loyal base in design, education, and publishing. Outside those niches, it was a curiosity. The market wasn't going to come save Apple. Nobody was about to abandon Windows. There was no industry-wide shift back toward proprietary platforms. In fact, the obvious read at the time, and most analysts said this in print, was that Apple should license the Mac OS to other manufacturers, accept commodity hardware, and try to be a software company. But here's the part of the market story that mattered. The PC was about to stop being just a productivity tool. Inside the next few years, it was going to become a multimedia device for music, photos, eventually video. Personal devices were getting consumerized. The market wasn't growing in volume. It was about to fragment by category. A company that committed to consumer-friendly multimedia computing had room to win, even at small market share. Apple just had to be a company capable of committing. Market dominated by Microsoft, but with a fragmenting edge that left a survivable niche. This is where the story gets unusual for this channel. By the summer of 1997, Apple had about $1.2 billion in cash and was burning roughly $50 million a quarter. They were public, they had no LBO debt, and they had no controlling shareholder, but they had a runway that, on the existing burn rate, was going to run out within a year. 2 financial moves bought time. The first was the Microsoft investment announced at Macworld Boston in August of 1997. Microsoft put $150 million into Apple in non-voting stock. The headline was the cash. The actual deal was bigger than that. Microsoft committed to keep developing Office for Mac for 5 years. Apple agreed to make Internet Explorer the default browser on the Mac. The 2 companies settled a long-running patent dispute. What the deal actually did was tell the market and the developer community that Apple was not about to die. Microsoft, the obvious replacement, had just publicly bet on Apple's survival. That kept third-party developers writing Mac software for another year, while Jobs did the real work. The second move was operational. Tim Cook joined as head of operations in 1998. Apple's inventory, which had been a constant drain on cash, dropped from months of stock to days. The cash conversion cycle went negative. Apple started getting paid by customers before it had to pay its suppliers. That alone freed hundreds of millions of dollars. So money's role here is a critical assist. Without the Microsoft cash and the operational discipline, the company runs out of money before the strategy compounds. But money didn't drive the comeback. It bought the comeback time to work. Money, a critical assist, not the decisive force, but absolutely necessary. This is the decisive force, and it's not what most people think. When Jobs came back in the summer of 1997, the popular memory of what he did first is that he started designing things. The actual first move was killing things. The story goes that Jobs walked into a product strategy meeting, looked at the lineup of 40-something products, and drew a 2x2 grid on a whiteboard. The columns were consumer and professional. The rows were desktop and portable. 4 boxes. He said, "We are going to make 4 products, 1 per box." That was it. The Newton, gone. The printer line, gone. Most of the variations on Power Mac, gone. The licensed Mac OS clones, gone. About 70% of the existing product line was killed in roughly a year. This was not popular internally. There were teams that had been working on those products for years. There were customers who depended on them. There were retail relationships organized around them. Each cut hurt. But here's the math. Apple in 1996 was a 4% market share computer company trying to compete in dozens of product categories. Apple, after the cuts, was a 4% market share computer company trying to do 4 things really well. The same engineering, marketing, and operational capacity now had 4 products to focus on instead of 40. The iMac followed from that. The original iMac, launched in 1998, was the consumer desktop box on the 2Ku. The iBook, launched in 1999, was the consumer laptop box. The Power Mac G3 and PowerBook G3 took the pro side. Without the cuts, those products either don't get made or get made badly because the company is spread too thin. With the cuts, each one gets the attention it needs to be the best version of itself. The same discipline showed up in retail when the Apple stores launched in 2001. 2 stores at first. Each one was treated as if it had to work in isolation, which meant the store experience was designed before it scaled. It showed up again in 2001. One with the iPod. The iPod wasn't an inspiration. It was the product the Focus company was capable of making. A company doing 40 things would not have shipped the iPod. A company doing 4 would. Jobs gets credit, deservedly, for the design eye and the marketing instinct. But the management call that turned Apple around was a math call. Cut the surface area, concentrate the resources, wait for the compounding to do the work. Management, decisive. The dot-com boom of 1998 to 2000 was a moment force in Apple's favor. Tech valuations were elevated. Apple's stock recovered. Capital was easier to raise. The boom didn't create the comeback, but it gave the comeback room to breathe. The dot-com bust in 2001 was a moment force in the other direction. It hit just as Apple was launching the iPod. A weaker version of Apple would have cut the iPod project to preserve cash. The disciplined version of Apple shipped the iPod through the bust, and the iPod outsold every prior projection. So moment cut both ways here. It didn't decide things, it just tested whether the strategy was real. Moment. A context, not a cause. So let's grade them out. Market. A hard environment with a fragmenting edge. Money. A critical assist. Microsoft's 150 millers and Tim Cook's inventory work bought the runway. Moment. Context, not cause. Management. Decisive. Apple's comeback wasn't about a new product. It was about a smaller product line. Discipline came before design. By the time the iMac shipped, the hard work was already done. The company had cut the surface area down to where it could focus. The cash bridge was in place, and the team had something it could actually win at. There's a pattern here that this channel will keep coming back to. When a company comes back from the dead, the move that mattered most is almost never the creative one you hear about. It's the cut. The product line that got killed, the market that got abandoned, the customer segment the company stopped serving. Comebacks are stories about saying no. The 40-product Apple of 1996 had a market cap of about $3 billion and was running out of money. The 4-product Apple of 2001 had a market cap of around $6 billion. By the end of 2007, the same Apple was worth roughly $170 billion. The compounding came from the focus. Next case, a story where the framework's verdict matches the popular narrative for once. The market came for Tower Records, and there was nowhere to hide.